Good morning, coffee moaners. Welcome to Saturday, the 21st of March. How is everyone? Another week, another war, another week, another bunch of entirely contradictory headlines from our world leader, Donald Trump. How are we all this morning? Welcome. If you're listening on podcast, don't forget you can head over to YouTube and watch us over there. I am currently sporting my cap that says radical left scum. I love that. I love being radical left scum. That's great. Anyone else here identify? How would you identify yourself politically in 3 words? Would you say you're radical left scum? What are you? Whilst you're answering that, I'm just going to tell you what we're going to talk about. Well, apparently Iran has fired ballistic or intercontinental missiles at Diego Rivera. Is that the Chagos Islands? Is it the same thing? Basically at the UK base. They didn't hit, one intercepted, one fell short. We're going to be looking at how, without exaggerating this, we are on the verge, on the cusp of economic catastrophe as Trump is kicking out into the world entirely conflicting signals regarding his intentions in Iran. We're going to put troops on the floor. You're going to put troops on the ground, troops on the floor, but we need everyone to help us. No one's helping us. They're all cowards. We don't need help. It's nearly done. We're about to wrap it all up. It's nearly finished. I mean, I've never known more conflicting signals in my life. So we're going to literally tiptoe through the various machinations, gyrations, and permutations of madness. I want to talk about Starmer. I want to talk about Miriam Adelson trying to woo the Japanese Prime Minister in America. Miriam Adelson, basically the woman, the puppet master pulling the strings around Trump. Will this war end? Will this war end? Will Trump pull out of this war? And how can he, if, as we all suspect, Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu have compromising images of him doing pee-pee and all that kind of stuff? So that's what we're going to go for. What words would you use to describe yourself? No one's done it. Designed to confuse Iran. I'm not ashamed of being a lefty loon, says Victoria Moore. Gabrielle, green, green, green. Musical chimp. Can't keep up with everyone. Yes, you can, musical chimp. You're a musical chimp. Musical chimps can move quickly. How is it nearly the end of March already? Let's not do that. It's depressing. Good morning. Fun times forever. My son calls me a lefty, says Jan Pitts, and I say, thank you. I know. Do you remember in the past, it would be like, you're a loony left. It's like, fuck that. Looney Tunes, bring it on. I don't care. I don't mind. Just let me be it. Let me do it. So let me just give you the headlines this morning. Sarah Jane Greer, love the cat mark. Thank you very much, Sarah Jane Greer. We watch your. Look at this, Dawn Harris. You're getting too political. We know what's happening in the world. We watch your family for peace and love. Just seems you're more interested in the wars. Do you know what? Cheerio, troll. Love the cat mark, says Sarah Jane Greer. I am an unwashed radical lefty. Yee! I love being a radical lefty. The point being, our channel is an expression of us, and we have become political. And if you don't like it, go and watch some mindless shit somewhere else. We put out mindless shit, which we love doing, but when it suits us. So don't come on here giving it some. All right. Smelly lefty, says Muniro 8047. See ya, Sarah Jane Greer. Wouldn't want to be ya. Cheerio. I'm a radical lefty too, says Mim. Hi, love. I feel I'm my own party, says Cloda. And on that, at 12:15, you can have some mindless fun, because we do mindless fun and we do the kind of good cheer, which is why I know when you come here saying that stuff, I know you're a troll. Because there's all sorts of content on the channel where you don't need to worry about the politics. You just don't need to be here for this. Do you get me? So at 12:15, lovely, wonderful, unpolitical Lee Peart is going to be in the house cooking up a storm with the curly cooks. What is a lefty these days, Monero 8047? Good question. I think a lefty is anyone who feels a human emotion about things that are happening, not just to them. And I mean that. I think that's probably the definition of a lefty. Someone who, on varying degrees of maybe empathetic, humanitarian, etc., has a concern for people beyond just themselves. Do you get me? And I genuinely think that's what a lefty has become. You've become a lefty, a sort of tofu munching, bed-wetting, Guardian reading, lettuce crunching lefty. If you feel something for others, or if you are active, or you protest, or you upload, or you talk about, or you bemoan and you challenge things that make not just things that you know and things that affect your family and people you know and your community feel bad, but you also recognize make other people feel bad too, or impinge upon their lives. Injustice. And that's why I'm radical left scum, because radical left scum cares. And we live in a world at the moment where we've got complete fucking monsters telling us not only to not care, but only valuing strength and sinewy brawn and the voice, the mess that ruling with an iron fist. Strength is apparently the only value to champion if you're part of the Trump regime, or the Israeli regime. So there we go. If you tremble with indignation at every injustice, says Chris Cox, you're a comrade of mine. Who said that? I love it. Roxy Voxy, I'm only here for the lefty politics, not much interested in the rest. I saw some of the Spanish trip and have seen a couple of curly cooks, but left moaning is my thing. There you go. You see, you can go and watch nice little kind of chips around, flibbity flobbity bits and all that. So we still do all of that. So just clear off and sling your rook. Thank you very much, whoever you are. Completely forgotten in the mists of trolling internet time. Cheerio. Totally agree. If you have any empathy, says Rosie, this is a good chat, isn't it? What is a lefty? I put on a cap and it starts a conversation. And this is why me and Nadia love you guys, apart from that idiot just then. Why we love you guys is because you take us in the directions that we go. Totally agree. If you have empathy, says Rosie Muck, or concern for others, you're a radical leftist. Coral Roberts, I love your son. The war affects every country. We've got wars, diseases. Trump has cut all US aid to countries that need it. No vaccine programs, all cut January 2025. Chrissy D, then I'm definitely a lefty. Looks like a lot of people here are lefties. Some have left, but some are lefties. What happened to the left-wing Socialist Labour Party? What killer question. So simple, Hutchie boy, and yet so problematic for... let me be. I really think we need to ditch the word crystal, and maybe I need to start saying, let me be really clear. It's a bit soft, though, the R, isn't it? Oh, let me be really clear. I can't do it. It doesn't sound crystal clear enough to me. MeTube. Hey, oh, MeTube, you're in the room. I don't believe in left or right. It's about what? Policies you support. Oh, arc at you, sort of existentialist philosophical voter. I like that. Oh, I'm just sipping from my coffee. If you're listening on podcast, I do apologize. Someone's asking, what's wrong in believing in love, human rights and peace, and wanting everyone to be able to have a decent, happy life? Look, Zach Polanski the other day said something in an interview when he was asked about Israel, and he said, and before everyone gets their knickers in a twist and says, what is he saying? No countries, no borders, no boundaries, and all that bollocks. No. But when he answered someone, I think it was Ian Dale, about the idea that on LBC, that, even the kind of construct of countries is actually quite arbitrary, a bit like the construction of time. It's something we have, it's something we've inherited, it's something we've got to live with. And for those people who don't have a country, like the Palestinians, it's pretty key. But in essence, philosophically, I think you can get on board with the idea that theoretically we shouldn't really have borders. I mean, in a weird way, that's the whole point of the European Union, isn't it? It's like we relish cultural difference. For example, how obnoxious so many Parisians are to British people, how imperialist so many Brits are when we go abroad, how sort of show-offy so many Italian male waiters are. And, this is the melting pot, the joyful melting pot of Europe, right? But we also recognize that actually, really, we're just one big landmass full of lots of different people saying different things and being really annoying in different ways. Why don't we all pull together? I quite like that. I think, why not? I want to be part of a bigger gang where we all laugh at each other and go, oh, the way you eat your spaghetti is so annoying. Do you know what I mean? That sort of stuff. Oh, I've started on one today. I do like a Saturday moaning where I am unimpinged by the missus and I can swear as much as I like. If you care, it's agonizing, Jane Clancy. I wish I didn't. It hurts so much. And you speaketh a trutheth. Thank you, Jan Clancy, for saying that. It is painful and it is difficult. And I can't remember which coffee moaning it was. It sort of flipped into a kind of spiritual Jerry Springer where, listen, if you're hurting, if you doth hurt, no, I'm being serious though. If you're hurting, that is because your DNA, your makeup, your physiology, your mentals, your emotional personality, your essence, your soul, your spiritual center is actually, despite anything even you're necessarily consciously thinking, is resisting a global push, the global machine trying to make you fit into a restrictive, prescriptive, reductive box of selfishness. It means you're successfully resisting a multi-trillion-dollar propaganda machine that has been in action for decades. I posted on my Instagram account today an image I found at my mother's flat. I was cutting my mum's hair. We were chit-chatting, and I saw the photo. I was like, oh, I must take a photo of that. It was an image of my wife, Nadia, and my Nanny Thelma. And I looked at it, and I posted it, and I thought, God, times were so simple. But we were all being utterly distracted. We were unawake. And there are two horrible things about being awake. One, being awake is so fucking painful. Two, thank God I'm awake, because now I have an awareness. And I can try and help others that I love. And again, it's about injustice. You know, in it being awake, you can see for others sometimes how they're being manipulated. And that's why I don't just hate reform voters, apart from the ones that are walking around with crowbars and the ones that are probably going to populate ICE firms running around, you know, deporting people. But those marginal voters who just don't feel there's anyone kind of speaking for them or to them. I don't hate reform vote. You know, they've been spun a lie. They've been sold a pup. They have been propagandized. They've been groomed into hating and parking the problem somewhere else. And so sometimes I feel the job of all of us is to be looking out for each other sometimes. You know what I mean? Don't be conned. Don't be manipulated. So going back to that comment, was it Jan? Of feeling so sort of, it feels so painful. It's a sign that your body is having a really authentic humanistic response to the awfulness that we are all going through and we're all witnessing. And I think one of the things that really frustrates me is actually the politicians we've settled for. We've just got, you know, the likes of Starmer, so insipid, so sort of unimpressive, so dislocated from the humanistic aspect of his own human body. Does the man have a heartbeat? Of course he has a heartbeat, but where? He's like the Tin Man without personality from with the Wizard of Oz. And so consequently, I just feel we've been really done a disservice by what we've been told to accept from our politicians and the political class. We just need people from not only all walks of life, like Hannah the plumber, but we also need people who are willing to not talk and dance and walk the same political language and the rules-based order of politics in this country. It's bollocks. It's all bollocks. You know, I'd love it if on TV someone was presented with a supercilious, arrogant wankwad of a Conservative MP, and on the program they go, "Why are you talking to me like that? Why are you taking that tone with me?" That would, do you know what I mean? Rather than just like the party political, well, no, what you're saying is not quite right because actually, Storm break. We need a law that prevents politicians from taking donations, and if they're found to have accepted, they should be prosecuted for fraud. They wanted to introduce a law in Wales where you're not allowed to lie as a politician. I mean, why is it that we accept it's a kind of inside joke that all standard mainstream politicians lie? We just go, oh yeah, no, of course they lie. Anyway, so the big headlines this morning are Iran fires ballistic missiles at joint UK-US military base on Diego Garcia as Trump orders allies to guard the Strait of Hormuz. Iran more latest. Iranian ballistic missiles fired at Diego Garcia. One fell short, one was intercepted. Iran-US war, missiles fired towards UK-US Chagos Islands base. Donald Trump rejects calls for a ceasefire and proclaims victory over Iran. Starmer allows Trump to use British bases for strikes to help reopen Strait of Hormuz. Okay, well, before we get on to Starmer, the genocide charmer, what the fuck is Donald Trump going on about? Does anyone know? So we've won the war. We need to protect the Strait of Hormuz. We don't need the Strait of Hormuz, but we're now going to take all sanctions off Iranian oil already at sea. I kid you not. So they've introduced a law where any Iranian oil on a tanker that's already at sea, no sanctions. So Iran can sell that oil in order to kind of try and keep the oil prices down. It's madness. What? Doesn't make any sense. So is he winning? Are they winning? Is he winding up the war? He said somewhere, we're winding up the war. We're near the end. We're nearly at the end. He said that on day 2. But we're sending in troops. Oh, we love our troops. Our troops don't even have toilets. Who loves a toilet? I've got a golden boss toilet. So are they winning? Aren't they winning? Or is he trying to confuse everyone? Is he genuinely trying to, or is he doing that thing that a narcissist does? Narcissists do this. They just try and say whatever gets the best positive response from whoever's sitting in front of them. So what they're doing at the moment is someone very different is sitting in front of him. Oh, the war is over. Yeah, no more war. And then someone sits in front of him who wants to bomb everywhere. Yeah, we're going to send the troops in. Troops are going in. Troops are going in. It's just like, it's like windscreen wipers flipping and flopping left and right. None of it makes any sense. All the while, Benjamin Netanyahu, like Iago, is sat in the corner with all his own fucking oil fields and gas fields, wanting to flog it to the rest of the world. Oh, Benjamin Netanyahu sitting there going, I have this photo of you with my 85 fingers. Revered Wolf VIP. And not only that, the son of a bitch won again. And people are surprised that a crazy megalomaniac with a taste for human flesh, allegedly, and the thing for babies and children. What? I mean, let's not, this, surely, I mean, I keep hearing, and I'm going to play you a couple of clips in a minute. So many experts, so many commentators, so many political analysts, military analysts, all of them are sort of saying things like, well, I think Trump could pull out of this, and there'll be a point where America have done what they can do, and Netanyahu has got Donald Trump's balls in his hands, or he's possibly teabagging him, and he's going just a little bit further. And Donald Trump's going, I don't know if I could do that. Okay, just a little bit further. Okay, we can do that. Just a little bit further. It's literally all of this. Even military experts, and you listen to them and you watch them, and you've got Joe Kent talking to Tucker Carlson, you've got Jeffrey Sachs, you've got the guy, the Beijing professor, telling us it's all fucking over in about 10 minutes, and we're all already in the Armageddon point, and you're like, fucking hell, when did it happen? I don't understand. He's got markers going everywhere. I like him, but it's just like, fucking hell, this is too much for my brain even. And you're watching all of this, but none of them, I've noticed none of them pivot back to Benjamin Netanyahu's got Polaroids of Donald Trump doing dirty shit. And for as long as he's got those Polaroids, that will force Trump to stay engaged. So really, the tug of war at the moment, in my mind, is between Donald Trump trying to prevent Netanyahu showing the photos, or whatever the compromat is, and keeping his government on board, and weirdly trying to, or not trying to, keeping America on board. The one thing that I've noticed that, yes, I mean, a lot of people have said all this Iran distraction, Epstein's not in the headlines. Well, lots of, we're talking about it. Epstein is there. It's there. It's baked into it. It's marinated into it. Iran are forever saying this is a kiddie fiddler's war, which it is. Horrible phrase, but you know what I'm saying. But what I'm not hearing is, what is the situation like? Any Americans here in America on the ground? Are ICE agents still banging on doors? Would we hear about it? Where is any of the, still at this stage, briefly for a moment, independent media in America? What's going on in America? Are there marches? Are there protests? Is shit kicking off in America? Because we're not hearing anything. Anyway, so none of us are any the wiser. So Donald Trump has said in the last 12 hours, I'm winding things up. We're at the end game. We've won, but we need all the support of all of our allies in the Strait of Hormuz. Most of them have been very reluctant to kind of step towards helping the Strait of Hormuz, though I have to be honest, I think Starmer is trying to sort of say no, but yes. Starmer, where are you, Starmer? You're no Churchill to me, Starmer. And Starmer sat there going, yes, no, yes, you can use our bases only defensively. You can only take off with huge bombs that kill people as long as you use them defensively. If I hear someone else say, oh, yeah, but it's only defensive, let's not forget the word or the phrase self-defense legitimized the genocide by Israel. There's nothing defensive about war. If a great big lumbering fucking airplane with giant fucking missiles underneath it, loaded at RAF Braesford or whatever the fuck these places are called, on our territory, if they're great big missile, that's a defensive missile, that one. Come on. Starmer is complicit, he's implicit, he's compromised, he's involved, he's permitted, he's allowed, which is why Zach Polanski posted this morning. Keir Starmer has dragged the UK into this war against our will. UK bases face further attacks, putting military personnel and civilians in the potential line of fire. This is a prime minister who promised a vote before any military action, and that must now happen on Monday. What's happened to this idea of a fucking vote in the House of Parliament? The House of Commons, what's happened? No one has asked anyone. So all that Starmer's done, because Starmer's good at this, Starmer's got form at just slowly leaning into genocide. Just don't say anything too obvious. Just keep going. Just keep leaning. And when you're too close to anything someone could accuse you, just lean the other way. Oh, away from genocide. Oh, no, go back. He's just trying, but we all see him for what he is. And look, it's not to say, I know many people are going to say, well, what else do you expect him to do? I expect him to make a stand like the Spanish Prime Minister, go, no! Say no! Claro! No! Just not for us. It's sometimes, with a bully, with a control freak like Trump, in a weird way, he might respect that even more rather than Keir Starmer standing in a wet nappy trying to get out of his gimp suit. So thank you, Zach Polanski, for saying that. Thank you also to Jeremy Corbyn for saying that too. He has. Let me see if I can find Jeremy Corbyn's statement. Is this it? No, Zara Sultana. Keir Starmer says, warmest wishes to Muslims who are marking the end of Ramadan across the UK and around the world. May your Eid al-Fitr be joyful and full of peace. And then Zara Sultana says, except Palestinian, Iranian and Lebanese Muslims whose suffering you're directly complicit in. Conditional Eid celebrations. That's what you're getting from old Starmer, baby. Oh, he's just hopeless. He can't even be anti-war properly. He can't even be pro-war properly. And I don't buy into these kind of, I keep seeing these opinion pieces saying Starmer's playing a blinder. He's not playing a blinder. He's mumbling around outside. He's locked himself in a lavatory and he doesn't know how to get out. And he just keeps saying, yeah, no, absolutely, I've just got to flush it. It's a floater. It's a floater. He doesn't know how to get out of this. He can't step too far forward. He keeps using the word defense, because he heard that about Israel and it seemed to work for fucking Netanyahu. Oh, only defensive. We're only doing defensive things. Starmer allows Trump to use British bases for strikes to help reopen Strait of Hormuz. Okay, but on a more serious point, participating, Janina M says, not complicit, participating. It's a great word for him. Participate. We are not participating. It's a great word for him. But here's the bigger question. So we now have the Strait of Hormuz. We have gas prices, oil prices going through the roof. We have a very real situation developing. Let me just see if I can find the headline. We have a very real situation developing where our government is considering lowering things like speed limits, which are among some of the contingency plans being considered for to curb UK oil demand. Some other contingency measures are work from home. Don't do any long haul drives. Don't do any transport, any traveling. The International Energy Agency has recommended emergency measures, including working from home. Lowering speed limits to minimize fuel consumption among potential contingency plans. There are sort of unconfirmed reports of various petrol stations in the southeast of the country in Kent running out of fuel, possibly because of panic buying and panic filling at the pumps, etc. But this speaks to something that Nadia always says I should curtail my fury around this. I get really, does anyone else feel this? Please tell me I'm not on my own with this. Why is it that in the UK, by and large, the more centrist, rather than politically aware or engaged people, but more by and large, most people who can't be bothered with anything political and are forever saying that's in a foreign country, it doesn't bother us. Why is it? And I have to say, there's a part of me that's satisfied that it is when this happens. Why is it only when something like the price of biscuits goes up that everyone suddenly engages? It's so British, isn't it? What do you mean? It's going to cost an extra 50p on a packet of digestives. Fucking hell, what? The Iran war? What? Where's Iran? It really pisses me off. We are such a fucking suburban country sometimes. We're such a suburban country that I know that it will only pique people's interest. Suddenly it's like, oh, what? All that kind of gib-gab, jib-jab that you were giving everyone about, oh, why are you so interested? We get it all the time on here. Why are you interested in other countries? Why don't you care about the North? Because if the world goes up, the North's going to go up too. You can have more than one thought all at the same time. But it will be when the price of biscuit, the only thing that will cause revolution in this country is if there were no digestives and no biscuits in the country. Everyone would then kick the butt. Everyone would go fucking nuts. Everyone would lose their shit. Or that they just allow there to be, what are the awful, horrible, not digestives, what are the ones that are sort of so dry, they're horrible. I mean, come on, biscuits apparently in Japan, because of the price of oil, they're not getting their crisps. Who thought it was going to be confectionery and snacks that would lead people to go, we've got to find a solution to this Iranian war. The Japanese aren't getting crisps and the British can't afford their biscuits. Rich tea, that's it. Fucking hate them. It's like eating toenails. And people who say they like rich tea, apologies to anyone who does like rich tea. Nadia does, my mother does. I sometimes feel like when they say, oh no, I really like rich tea, they're saying it in an almost provocative way. Like, you can't stomach rich tea. And I'm like, you're right. I even struggle with the digestive. Do you get me though? I don't know. Oh, really? The price of biscuits? I mean, I've made this up. I don't really know for sure, but I just have that feeling about the Brits. I mean, I feel like many of those wavering reform voters who are like, it's like, I can't remember who said it yesterday. Someone said it brilliantly somewhere. It might have been the girls on the trawl or something. Marina Perkis or someone said something along the lines of no, actually, it's James O'Brien, completely different gender and person. They were saying something along the lines of how Nigel Farage is legitimizing language, attitudes, and phrases, and even Benny Hill music from the 70s. It's like everyone who kind of goes, oh, I can get away with it now. I can actually I don't have to be a closet racist anymore. This is so exciting. I can prove that I haven't progressed from 1974 politically whatsoever. But I think a lot of people who are, in the middle, those people that are saying, oh, for God's sake, you're being spun a yarn by reform. I think a lot of them, if you said to those sort of wavering, not so extreme reform voters, you're not going to have any biscuits, they'd all be like, fuck me. Will Green give us biscuits? Yes, you'll get Green biscuits. Vote for them. I'll vote for Green. You've got my vote. I want a Garibaldi. Is it Garibaldi? I want a Garibaldi. I want a bourbon. I want a custard cream. Oh, and those ginger soft Fox's crunch. Oh, I mean, you know what? You'd probably win my vote too. Trump news at glance. President blasts NATO allies amid reports US will send more troops. But apparently he's won the war. We won the war. We've won the war, but we're sending more troops. We've won the war, but we need to send more troops. We've blown everything up, but they fired 2 ballistic missiles at the Chagos Islands. They're completely compromised. They've got no leaders. But in fact, that Ayatollah is now 30 years younger than he was and more extreme. They've got no weaponry, but they're firing drones every 5 minutes. Doesn't make any sense, Donny. Come on. Trump ready to put boots on the ground. But I thought you said you didn't. I thought you said you'd won the war. Pentagon draws up plans to seize strategic Karg Island after US president calls NATO allies cowards. You're all cowards. I've started a war and you need to mop it all up for me. Trump's plan. Oh, look here. Marco Rubio keeping his hands over his balls because Trump's plan to grab Iran's balls. Do you remember how he talked proudly about grabbing women's pussies? Oh, yeah. He also wants to grab Iran by the balls because he's a routine and systematic fiddler. He's a dirty, allegedly, abuser who likes to talk about grabbing everyone in the crutch, even Iran. Even Iran. But meanwhile, in the background, Marco Rubio taking preventative measures in an act of self-defense down there by his crutch. Marco Rubio protecting his balls. Troops are on standby to invade Karg Island, but is the president prepared to risk making the US Marines a juicy target for the Iranians? I'm going to grab them by the balls. Okay, grab them by the pussy. Oh, yeah. What the fuck has happened, guys? I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want the bullshit of the Obama years, the Clinton years, the Bush years. Oh, fucking hell. The stuff you hear about the Bushes. I'm not suggesting we go back to any of that. But we are past all of this, aren't we? We're past all of this. Oh, guys. Let's have a few of your comments. And like Iran, says Charlene Evans, like Iran have said they aren't worried and are waiting for them. Their foreign minister is amazing. Careful. You'll be done for treason. I absolutely love how you break things. 27 Smile 75. Mark, people will only start to object to things when it interferes with something like biscuits. You know it's true, don't you? We know it's true. Fucking hell. I've heard more people go, oh, have you seen the size of a block of butter? Fucking hell. There's a genocide happening, you moron. The lunatics are running the asylum, says Musical Chimp. Monero 8047. The elites cannot hide any of these as the news is everywhere these days. Well, yes, but you know what I think will happen? And it may happen in the middle of a live. They'll just cut the internet. I mean, you know, they can buy up all of the channels in America, you know, the Zios, the Israeli stooges, and etc. And on that, let's go to Miriam Adelson, a more repulsive, disgusting, illicit, illegal, manipulative Zionist you could never come across in your life. There she is, receiving some fucking award. Israel's Miriam Adelson hosts dinner at White House for Japanese delegation. So after Donald Trump insulted the Japanese, telling them, oh, you could have told us about surprises with Pearl Harbor. Oh, we do surprise. Miriam Adelson. Interesting that, isn't it? She's invited to host a dinner for the Japanese delegation, probably offering them billions, millions and millions of dollars to work with Israel. Israel will be pivoting towards other countries. This is why Israel is trying to nurture its relationship with India. It will try and nurture, it's looking everywhere else. It's completely compromised this country. The UK is totally fucked unless you vote Green. There is no, or your pod, there is no party in this country that is an effective resistance to the far-reaching tendrils of the Israeli Zionist fascist regime. I sometimes wish some journalist would remind every single member of Keir Starmer's front fucking bench or ask them, how do you feel about the fact that Netanyahu is a wanted war criminal? I just want them to be reminded of it because I just feel like they're completely insulated from the truth of the world. So here she is, Miriam Adelson. She already bought Donald Trump. She bought Donald Trump on the promise that he would allow Israel to annex the West Bank. The West Bank's gone. Gaza's gone. Lebanon is going. Syria is hobbled. Egypt will be next. Turkey will come soon. Iran is being pulverized. The Greens are the only ones saying it clear enough. Really, really, really. It looks like Donald Trump is going to declare victory in Iran. I mean, the problem with Donald Trump is he says he's won, or he declares victory without any evidence, proof, or kind of qualification. He just says any old shit. I am God. He just believes any old shit. He says anything. He's an absolute moron. Really American media Instagram account says day 1, it's going to take a couple of days. Day 20, okay, we need $200 billion. But I thought you'd won the war. But you're sending 3,000 troops, 2,500 troops. You're asking for another $200 billion because, as Pete Hegseth, or Pete Smegbreath, as we discovered we like him to be called last week, as Pete Smegbreath says, it costs money to kill people, It costs money to kill bad people. It doesn't cost money to kill good people, as Israel has proven. And we've been there and we've done that and we've seen that. Yeah, it's just, fucking hell. What an absolute clusterfuck. Let's show you. Let me lean out and play you a clip. Is Donald Trump being challenged? I think this might have been where he said, I want to grab Iran by the balls.
Ceasefire in the middle. Pope Leo is calling for a ceasefire in the Middle East and to reopen dialogue. What do you say to the Pope, sir?
Look, we can have dialogue, but I don't want to do a ceasefire. You don't do a ceasefire when you're literally obliterating the other side. They don't have a Navy. They don't have an Air Force. They don't have any equipment they don't have any spotters. They don't have anti-aircraft. They don't have radar, and their leaders have all been killed at every level. We're not looking to do this.
So he doesn't want a ceasefire. He's saying he's won, but he's sending more troops, and he wants everyone else to pick up the pieces and mop up the shit of the Strait of Hormuz. It's just ridiculous. Did anyone see the journalist last week who was nearly hit? News Corp app identified 4 highly biased articles covering Israel's attack, where they nearly took out the, I think it was either Russia Today journalist. Let me just show you. Here is a moment from it. This is the moment where he was nearly hit in Lebanon by the Israelis. And he also has uploaded an update on his situation.
Footage of the airstrike that took place in Sur district as we were reporting on the destruction of a bridge. We've been treated in hospital for our injuries. I had a shrapnel wound in my arm, deeply embedded in the muscle here. That's been taken out, and here it is in this pot here. But what I do want to say is that this was a deliberate, targeted attack on journalists. There's no mistake about it. This was an Israeli precision strike from a fighter jet. What we were doing was we were reporting on the attacks on bridges, which is effectively severing South Lebanon from the rest of the country. 1 million people now internally displaced. This is the real story. It's not about us coming under attack as journalists. What we're seeing now and what we were reporting on is this plan for Israel to ethnically cleanse the south of Lebanon. This is without doubt an attack. This is on the scale or bigger than the scale of the Nakba. This is the forced displacement of 1 million people, which remains a war crime. And also we have to say that attacking journalists is a war crime. Attacking civilian infrastructure is a war crime. But if they think that they're going to silence us, if they think that we're going to stay out of the field, they're very, very much mistaken.
Yeah, so because he works for a Russian TV station, Steve Sweeney, he's not a human, apparently. You're absolutely right, who said it, hope, love, peace. None of our media reported it in the way that it should have been reported. News Corp has thrown their lens over the way in which it was reported. The Daily Express reported the incident where you may have seen, well, you'll have seen the footage at the front. Let me play it again. If you look at the footage in the bottom screen, you'll see what happened.
Footage of the airstrike that took place in Sur district as we were reporting on the destruction of...
And so, that was an Israeli strike. The IDF actually said if we knew he was reporting, we wouldn't have fired. Oh, are you having a laugh? Precisely because he's reporting you struck. So the Daily Express reported that as British TV journalist hospitalized in airstrike as missile hits camera, no identification of who. Lebanon, missile lands next to presenter during live report. Newsweek, video shows moment missile lands. Independent TV, missile lands yards from British journalists. Everyone too fucking chicken-livered, yellow-bellied, scared to identify who attacked. So yeah, respect to I hope they I hope, sorry, I was just double checking everything's all right. It's just an absolute outrage. Again, utterly compromised media, utterly jaundiced, never ever holding a fire to the feet of the Israeli regime or the IDF, and forever trying to cloud atrocities in ambiguities when there are absolutely none. So yeah, I just want to just double check, definitely. This time let that more say if it means they stop. It's fine, stop. Oh, is this let's get rid of that one. Thank you very much. So yeah, always interesting how things aren't covered, how things are covered. Now, what was Steve Sweeney saying there? 1 million Lebanese displaced. Bigger than the Nakba. Bigger than the Nakba. And it's happening. I mean, I've got to the point now where I think the entire Iran distraction is about legitimizing or obfuscating and obscuring and removing any kind of lens or focus on what Israel is doing in Lebanon is as bad as what's happening and has happened in Gaza. It's just awful. And again, in the fog of war, no one, what can Keir Starmer and this government not cope with more than one thought at a time? I would love just someone in Prime Minister's questions to just jump up, lose their shit, get barred and banned for the day, for the week, whatever, yellow card, red card, and say, when are you going to answer some fucking questions, Keir? When are you going to actually justify your salary and your position by being able to multitask on this in some small way? I haven't heard our government comment at all. Not one of our government, not a member of the cabinet has been asked a question about the situation in Lebanon at all. All that you hear on chat shows, Ian Dale, LBC, left, right wing, right leaning kind of fucking chat groups is, well, Hezbollah is a terrorist organization. And let's all just pause for a second about Hezbollah and Hamas. They are prescribed terrorist organizations in this country, but they were both also born out of a resistance to occupation. Hezbollah, born from the same invasive, aggressive, genocidal invasion and actions of Israel. We can all get into a different discussion on liking or not liking how Hezbollah go about stuff and what they do. Hamas born out of the same thing. If you can't understand that, or if you think, oh, what are you doing? What are you saying? You're legitimizing. Well, if you can understand the ANC in South Africa, I'm not talking about the ANC now, but the ANC, if you can understand that there was a time when Nelson Mandela was characterized as a terrorist and the West went along with that, but now we all understand that that was just ridiculous, it's the same thing. What we do in the West is we define resistance by groups or organizations or populations or people that we've controlled in the past. We define resistance as terrorism. And that's what it is. I'm not disputing that. I'm not expressing support for it. But it's so clearly manipulative. And that's all that these politicians do when they go, well, Hezbollah has been attacking. Israel has the right to self-defense because Hezbollah are firing rockets. You don't seem to understand. Israel has completely alienated, demonized, and destroyed every Arab neighbor in the vicinity. Israel is like that person at a party that's not very nice. Oh, remarkably stupid. I just want to take us back to Joe Kent, Donald Trump's counterterrorism, chief, who resigned. The FBI are investigating him. He's kind of a bit whistleblowy. Could he be thrown in the slammer he resigned this week because he said, I can't stand by the Iran war. It was instigated by Israel. It was triggered by Israel. Here he is in an interview talking about other matters such as Charlie Kirk, conspiracy theories, etc. This is just interesting fodder that I thought I'd share with you.
President was the subject of a near successful assassination attempt recently.
Yeah.
And we're just not going to look into very obvious leads or divulge information that everyone knows they have. For example, the surveillance tape from the shooting range at which Thomas Crooks trained, because it would answer the question, was he training with somebody? And if so, who? They have that footage and they won't release it. What could possibly be the explanation for that?
I know what the result is. The result is people come to their own conclusions, and this is where like crazy conspiracy theories come from. And then those conspiracy theories usually are easy to debunk or make the people saying them sound crazy. So then the actual question never gets answered.
I'm sorry. Can you say that for people who haven't lived in Washington? Okay, I try to explain this to people all the time because this has been ongoing since at least the Kennedy assassination. But this is a very serious and reoccurring thing. It's a tactic. And you just explained it better than anyone I've ever heard. Can you just do that again if you can recall it from memory?
Yeah, I mean, so basically you give no information whatsoever on something that's obvious that there should be information. Like you outlined, like there's potentially footage of crooks at the shooting range. Again, Police 101, go get the tapes. Let's figure it out. If you don't want to address that question, then you go silent on it and you say you can't ask that question, which then creates people who come out of kind of nowhere and they start drawing their own conclusions.
Right.
Knowing the way the internet works, I mean, half of them, if not more, are probably going to be so far off in left field and made by legitimate kooks or bots that then you can just be like, oh, these people asking these questions about that tape at the video range.
It's space
They're
aliens.
All crazy conspiracy theorists. They say it's a UAP or whatever. And so then you've just, diverted all attention away from the thing that you're trying to conceal, and now everyone's focused on the crazies.
Man.
And then the second someone asks a legitimate question, they're crazy.
That's how it works. So you generate ambivalence, you starve the public realm of any kind of detail. It's exactly the same with the Charlie Kirk shooting. There's enough there for people to start chattering. Some of the chattering is lunacy, aliens, some of it becomes conspiracy. And then what you can do is you can fold up all of the alternative takes on what's happened, within which there will be really astute, on point, accurate assessments of a cover-up, but they then all become grouped as conspiracy theories. That's the way Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agency, works. That's the way the CIA works. CIA, Mossad, same fucking organization. That's what they do in this country. Our politicians are doing the same thing all the time. It's why you hear forever and a day on even radio stations like LBC or in the mainstream media on that old-fashioned thing called television news. Oh, people are getting their news from social media as if social media is somehow just a source of total madness. Of course it is. But also within it, there's some really astute analysis and journalism, which can then be all grouped as the same thing, and then everything can be hurled and tarred, literally tarred by the same brush. Just want to show you this repulsive woman once more, Miriam Adelson. Unforgivably, she is in control of America on behalf of Netanyahu. Evil. It's all so evil. I just thought that clip from Joe Kent was telling. We just need a moment of light relief, I feel, in tribute to Nadia, always wanting a little. Check this out. This is the original unrecorded audio of the Spice Girls when they recorded their video. This is how they actually sounded.
Tell me what I want, what I really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I want to really, really, really want to take a cigar. If you want to be my lover. She touched my butt. Woo! Don't do that. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I tell you what I want, what I really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
You know what? Just sometimes I love social media. I was in here fucking hysterics with that, especially the moment where Jerry Halliwell's doing, you can sort of smell either the alcohol or the garlic, can't you, on the breath? I'm not suggesting she's got a drink problem. I'm not saying that at all. Francisca Bastos, analysis is one thing. Journalism is another, though. Legacy serious journalists are right when they say that they have to follow all these rules and online independent journalists don't. I couldn't disagree with you more, Francisca Bastos. I'm sorry, Bassoon. If you look at the organizations funding many of the universities and schools of journalism, when you interrogate that, they are as compromised and they are forced into regulatory rules that serve the system. Let me use this as an analogy. When we made a documentary years ago about dog food, what you realized is that the only training veterinarians get about nutrition in dogs is training sponsored by the pet food manufacturers that make food that in the long term isn't the best food for your dogs, so that in the shorter term, your dogs need to pay for veterinary bills and go to vets. So the nutritional advice of all trained vets in the UK and America is funded by an industry that is in and of itself interested in not the welfare of your dogs, but in making money. And by the same extension, many of the rules and regulations involved in the journalism of the West, the broadcasting rules of, Ofcom, etc., they baked into them is an ability to control. So it's not to say you don't have great journalists. And what everyone should do as a human journalist, or as an emotional journalist, as I call them, is you need to always verify your sources as best as you can from multitude sources. And if you go to so let's go by your same standard. If you go by the same standard, the Daily Telegraph, nearly all of their journalists are absolutely qualified journalists, but they peddle hate and they peddle fascism. So if that's what official journalism can result in, for me, official journalism is dead. It's as plain and simple as that. So, you can have different political, if journalism was this sort of much to be admired kind of beacon of neutrality, etc., you wouldn't have most news outlets being veered in one direction or the other politically. Where is there actually any really independent journalism in the mainstream? Where is there? I see it, I think we can no longer receive the historical assumptions of something without questioning them ever again. The mainstream media is, when you listen to, like journalistic stations like LBC, the Telegraph is a classic example, an entirely Islamophobic paper. And therefore, I don't respect the tenets of journalism if those journalists are so-called official to be respected journalists, because it's totally jaundiced, it's politicized, and it's propaganda. Most journalists in the mainstream in this country, because the mainstream has been bought up by the right, are propagandists. And it's a problem for journalists. That's not to say people don't go into the trade or the profession with the best intentions. I've worked for the Daily Mail and the Evening Standard as an arts correspondent years ago. And when you go into those news editor meetings, even in the fizzy, fluffy end of features work, they're telling you what stories to cover. They're asking you to cover this story because they want to feed this paranoia, or they want to deliver to this kind of, appetite in the audience. They don't they don't respect their own profession. And that's not to say there aren't journalists out there trying to mine that really, diligent middle ground. Francisca Bastos, I'm not saying it should be revered, but what does independent mean? Who are you talking about? Well, okay, what the Telegraph isn't independent, the Daily Mail isn't independent, the Sun isn't independent, the Express isn't independent, ITV News isn't independent, Sky News isn't independent, but that's most of our news output in this country. That probably those companies and organizations I've just quoted probably employed the majority of the total number of journalists in this country. And the BBC have proven too that they are all compromised. So that, I just think it's about, you can't say all journalists are this and you can't say all journalists are that. You just have to challenge every piece of information that you receive from every outlet based on that piece of information as best as you can, according to what's available, because that's half the problem. Most of the problems with news coverage and journalism isn't what they're telling us, it's what they choose not to report or cover. And really, this whole conflict, the last 2 years, has blown a hole through the reliability of mainstream journalism. Mainstream journalism has failed, I would argue, because it has become compromised and complicit and has just peddled the same shit. They'll get a press release from, just look at the 4 headlines that I've just shown you regarding the Russia Today journalist being struck in, or them trying to strike him in Lebanon. Let's escape for a moment and have a listen to Power Over Trump. What's this?
have on Donald Trump that prevent him? Do these people have on Donald Trump that prevent him from throwing Bibi under the bus instead of Americans?
You want a one-word answer? Epstein. He knows if this is outed in any reasonably accurate and fulsome way, his presidency's ended. Lindsey Graham knows his senatorship is ended because Lindsey Graham is in there. Lindsey is an alcoholic, and Lindsey has a predilection for certain things that Epstein offered. So if you look at what the rumors say about Lindsey Graham, you have to imagine that he's deeply in the Epstein business. They're blackmailing people. Look at Ehud Barak. Look back at the talks, the Oslo talks, and how they disrailed and the way they disrailed. Caught Arafat completely by surprise. And I've talked to people who were in those talks, and they were stunned that they were making so much progress. And all of a sudden, Barak in particular, but Clinton too, derailed the talks. And think about Barak being one of the most prolific visitors to Epstein's island, and think about Clinton. You can't make this stuff up.
That was Colonel Larry. I just want to also say on that, I think one of the important things we try and do, and I think many independent media outlets can, is just highlight, push in front of, and promote opinions that get no airtime in the mainstream. I'm not, for instance, sitting here telling you you need to think this, but I'm telling you this is what we feel. This is how I've interpreted this, or this is how Nadia's interpreted this. But at the end of the day, I think you may have said somewhere, it is incumbent on everyone to be disciplined in how you get your news. And so my point really, just going back to what you said, Francesca, because I think it's a really rich conversation, is if you're someone that just reads The Sun and just accepts the headline, or just reads whatever paper it is you read that day, then you are jaundiced. You're not being fed good journalism. It's prejudicial journalism, it's propagandized journalism, it's journalism with an agenda and a political skew. And this is where I think in the so-called democratic free speech West, we have been sold an absolute lie. We have been brought up to think that we have freedom of the press, but actually the one truism I've known from a young age, having grown up in a left-wing household, right-wing grandparents, gone through the miners' strikes, the teachers' strikes, and poll tax, right, all that kind of stuff. Our mainstream media has been leaning to the right forever and a day, which basically is not too far from propaganda. Propaganda is peddling of a certain political opinion. And so, like MeTube, I think, says, if you say you read a headline in The Sun, you think, oh, right, okay. If you've got a brain and you've got a critical capacity, just check the story from 2, 3, or 4 other sources that aren't also owned by whoever owns The Sun. I'm not saying you don't have a different opinion. If after reading The Sun and reading other reports, you think, oh, I agree with The Sun, that's your right. You have a right to gobble it up. But also we have a right to say, I'm not holding the journalists or the majority of journalists at the majority of these publications or outlets or broadcasters in high esteem anymore. Because we've seen how utterly compromised and not up to the job they've been with the Gaza genocide. No one is saying, if you look at most of our headlines though, Francesca Bastos, I'm not saying you're saying this to us. If you stick only to independent journalism, you can get to the same point. You're absolutely right. The algorithm will keep feeding you the same thing, which is why every day you will notice, if you look at the type print of most of our headlines, they are from either the Telegraph or the Guardian, and they are the two opposite ends of the spectrum. One must never be afraid to read, look at, or consume the journalism, in inverted commas, of the political opposition to what you're feeling. Because otherwise you can't understand what's coming at you or what the anger is towards a left-wing point of view. And one of the truisms circling all the way back to radical left scum is that, unfortunately, I would argue that the vast majority of people who sit towards the left of politics, I would characterize most people who lean towards the left as people who can, not entirely and not totally, and there's obviously gradations of this. You can have selfish socialists, of course. But by and large, they are interested in making things better for more people other than just them. Whereas I would argue the politics of conservatism, reform, the Thatcherite kind of idea is it's about me. It might reach to my family, which it does, but it's about us. It's just about me and my family. And I think those are the two big differences. Anyway, guys, 12:15, Curly Cooks of Croydon, a lovely friend and comedian and host of Bottoms Up, the podcast, is joining us for a cook along in the kitchen. I think the doors are open. They were earlier. It might have got a bit too cold because Nadia and Dina they're Arab and they like the heat and they get cold really quickly. So come and join us in 45 minutes for a non-political, going back to whoever it was we had to kind of block because we knew what you were up to. Totally non-political, fluffy, fuzzy, fun. We try and deliver both ends of the spectrum on this channel. Okay. And I saw Project Hail Mary last night. Going to be doing a review of that too. All right, guys. Thank you for all of your comments as ever. Thank you, Francisca, as well. Thank you it's great to have really terse conversations and chats and thoughts and challenges and what have you. Just not someone coming on and criticizing the channel. It's just pointless. Go somewhere else. You've got time to criticize us. You've got time to go and watch something that you really want to watch. All right, guys. Lots of love. Take care. Bye.